all of these, you may have your kick, your snare, your hi-hats, your overheads, whatever it may be that you want to send to the drums. They're going to be named down here. You're going to name them all. You click your last instrument and you hold down shift and click your first instrument. Now for this out, all these outs are going to be going to the input of the drums. So you have all these highlighted. So you're going to click shift option. I'm using Mac. I don't know what it is on PC. And you're just going to click the out and change this bus to the drums. And it's going to change all the drums that you have highlighted. Now for the top, shift option, it's going to be no input because it's going to be audio. So it's going to change everything. Now you have that set up to where all of these inputs here, all these audio tracks are going to be bouncing to the drums. And you're going to send your drums, the output, to dry mix. Alright. Now you can also add extra sends, you know, like the reverb, compression, you know, delay or whatever into these sends right here. For my drums, I like to use compression 1 and 2. So we're going to use compression 1. And it's going to bring up how much of this compression that you want to be actually affected by the whole. How much compression you're going to be using. And compression 2. Like I said, I like to use 2 compressions. It just sounds better to me. I can play with it a little better. You're going to do the same with every last one of these subgroups. The ones with the S vibe. You're going to import your guitars, your keys, your synthesizers, and your percussion the same way. Of course, you're going to change the color up here so it won't be confusing. Alright, now that you got all of your tracks routed to the auxiliary input that you're going to be grouping them to and color coded, the next thing I like to do, because the back end just seems out of order a little bit. Alright, I like for my last 3 tracks to be the dry mix, mix, and the main. So move this over here. Mix. Then Command Shift N. Master fader. It's gonna be in stereo, of course. Alright, create. Now for your master, you can use out 1 and 2, but for the whole session, my output is main, that bus I created before. Once you do that, you should have everything set up for the next step. Alright, now that you got your master fader connected to with the main output, I like to color code these last 4 tracks, no, the last 3 tracks, I'm sorry. The last 3 tracks. For some reason, I just like to do it to this bright red. Which makes it a lot easier to see. Alright. Now, you got all of your tracks sent to this one auxiliary bus. Below in the description, I created a list that shows which auxiliary input gets which in, which out, which send, and insert. So I suck at explaining stuff, so I just wrote that down to explain to you all that in an easier way. You know, some people like to read, some people are visual learners. I can't explain, so I wrote it down to make it easier. Alright, now I got all my auxiliary inputs set up with their individual outs, their sends, and their inserts. Whichever effects that you need, like this verb has reverb. This Vox has 2 compressions and EQ, delay for delay, so on and so forth. Alright. Next thing I like to do, you can do this at any step, is to solo safe each auxiliary input by pressing Command click. Doing this makes it possible to where that when you solo an individual instrument, it will still be routed through the auxiliary inputs out, so you'll still hear it. If you don't, you won't hear anything. So just solo safe all the auxiliary inputs. Alright, now that you got all your auxiliary inputs solo saved, or whatever the word is, everything should be routed correctly to go from whatever group it is into this dry mix to mix in its main. All the audio should work. Now the reason for all this riffraff is that, say during a session you don't have this set up and you're mixing your drums and your guitars and your keys, and then you overall listen to everything, and then you hear that snare is too loud, or a couple of percussion instruments are not working with the mix or whatever. You don't want to go back and have to mix or mess with every individual fader. You know, it's going to take up a lot of time. So I use this way in order to easily mix. So I mix down my drums and mix down my guitars and my keys, and I say, alright, the drums are just a little too loud or whatever. I can turn all of the drums down with this one fader right here. Turn up all the guitars with this one fader, you know, so I don't have to go back and remix everything in order to sound cohesive with the next group that I'm mixing. Okay, once you have that set up like you want it to be set up, you can save it as a template, and that's very simple to do. You just go up to File and you go to Save as Template. Now you can either install the template in the system or select the location that you want the template to be stored in, but I like to just store it in the system. Okay, you click category, you can add a category, you know, whatever you want it to be, and I just made mine as my name, and whatever you want the template to be named, and you click OK. But I already did this, so I hope this helped to explain in detail how I set up my auxiliary buses in my sessions to make recording and mixing easier. Like I said before, I'm a terrible teacher, so all the bus names, route info, and shortcuts are listed below in the description. I hope it's simple enough to follow. If not, I'm pretty sure y'all let me know ASAP. You can follow me on Twitter at JB the Producer, and you can join my beat mailing list at the link below that I listed down there. I'm also looking for 4 top-notch producers for my production team called The Producers. If you're interested in applying, I'll also put that link below. Well, nice chatting it up with you, but I'm out of here.